So let's talk about New Agers. Just go get my outline. Okay. Number one, top of my list. This one absolutely tells me that they're a New Ager straight off the bat. They believe in this law of one mentality where, like, everybody comes from the same source and everybody's fate is the exact same fate. They believe that we're all part of the same consciousness. I have big issues with this because, number one, I don't believe I'm from here. So, like, the idea that we are all part of a medium and that this is an inescapable medium and nobody can leave it, that already, like, I already disagree with that because I don't even think that I came from here in the first place. I just don't resonate with anything here. Law of one mentality. Yeah, we are not all one. Here's some of the things that people in the law of one mentality think. They think that since all is one, all manifestation or appearance of manyness is an illusion. According to Ra, which is who they channeled, right? Because these are channelers. They're always channelers. And what's funny about this is when I did research about the law of one material, they had CIA ties. They had, some of the people in this had government ties. They were experimenting with drugs, experimenting with how they affect a person's personality. So, like, this is another MK Ultra type thing where they hijack a bunch of people who are interested in, like, esoteric things. They join this group, and then lo and behold, there's military ties to it in the background. And then they end up, like, inducting a bunch of mind-controlled drones to believe in this thing and de-radicalize them and keep them from doing anything that would make them sit off the timeline. Happens all the time. Happens with the basically any new age group. There's like a new name every decade. This just happens to be called Law of One. They also believe in a one infinite creator. The Law of One states that there is only one, and that one is the infinite creator, which Ra also calls infinite intelligence and intelligent infinity. It is impossible to describe the one undifferentiated intelligent. It is impossible to describe the one undifferentiated intelligent infinity unpolarized full and whole. That's a mouthful. But it can be activated or potentiated. Each portion of the creation contains paradoxically the whole. Yes, so I do agree that we are in a medium and that small parts of the medium reflect whole parts. That's basically like, what is it? There's a hermetic law, as above, so below. Basically the same thing being represented here. However, I don't think that they're intelligent. And I don't think that everybody originates from it. And I don't think that it is the originator of everything. Like, there is a source. There's a source for here, and then it cannot be the source of anything else. It's like, this is a closed system, and there is a monad inside this system, but it's not a monad that has any power over everything outside the system. It has its own special jurisdiction. So, like, in order for you to say that there is one infinite creator, you have to ignore everything else that is not part of it. And they can't begin to understand that because they come from within the system. They're drones of the system. They're NPCs of the system. They were spit out of the system, and their fate is to go back to the system. Now, for the people that don't think that they came from this reality, they're obviously going to think very differently. They might not 100% believe, like, they might understand that there can be a source, but that they might not believe that they come from it. Another thing, they also like to say that everyone is one, or we're all part of the same consciousness. Well, if you're saying that, then you would also have to agree that, like, all the evil people in the world, all the people who do the evil and horrendous acts, the people who are responsible for mass death, disgusting, disgusting actions on another human being, they're also saying that they are them. They are those people. They are the good and the evil, basically. I can't get down with that. I know what I am, and I know that I'm not those things. However, these law of oneers, they keep saying that everybody is one. It's like, either it's like willful ignorance, or like, they're legitimately part of this hive mind. It's a hive mind, that's what it is. Law of one material. If you embrace that shit, then you're part of a hive mind. What else? Oh yeah. Oh, also another funny thing about Law of One. They also believe in a harvest, and that we have no free will, and that at the end of the cycle, everybody goes back to the big demiurge. Everybody goes back to the source. There's no escape from it, and there's nothing outside of it. So that's some big NPC shit, if I've ever heard of it. Let's go to the next topic. Oh yeah, the fear of ego. So, first of all, you're not supposed to get rid of your ego. You're not supposed to suppress your ego. You're supposed to augment your ego, and you're supposed to modify it to fit your means and to serve you. Because people think the ego is bad because only the negative parts of the ego are ever paid attention to. If you knew that you could modify your ego to only be the things that serve you well, then you probably wouldn't be saying you need to get rid of your ego. Ego is not something that you get rid of. Ego is something that you should not be wanting to strip yourself of. Because what happens when you lose your ego is that you basically are dividing 0 by 0, and you don't deserve to exist anymore. You're giving away your rights to existence when you give away your ego, because your ego is supposed to be how you get out of here. A strong ego is able to lucid dream and astral project at will, and a strong ego is able to say no when they are presented with tricks and illusions and holograms when they're in the astral realm. An ego doesn't get tricked. A strong ego doesn't get tricked. So all these new agers that want you to get rid of your ego, that's because they want you to get rid of your firewall. Your ego is your firewall. Another one, denial of astral parasites. So this one's really important. A lot of new agers, they think that shadow beings and astral parasites and stuff like that and dream entities are parts of them. Sometimes, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. But most of the time, I don't think so. Because here's why. I got attacked by a shadow being in my dreams when nothing bad was happening in my life and I was in a good mindset. But they would still tell me, like, as if they know me, that that shadow being was like my repressed darkness and that I had to do some type of shadow work or something. That's a complete load of shit. I'm telling you right now that astral parasites, they need to be destroyed. Like, if they come at you, that is your full go-ahead to destroy them. They don't deserve to exist. Okay, well, maybe that sounds harsh. But, like, if something's trying to steal from you, why would you let it? Like, I posted about killing an astral parasite, killing a shadow being on r/astral projection. And they try to talk me down saying that I was wrong for that. Like, what? Like, if something is trying to siphon my energy from me while I'm sleeping, trying to use my ignorance against me, how am I in the wrong for obliterating them? Doesn't make any sense. Plus, the main person that was trying to tell me that I was in the wrong was a person that was doing deals with demons and evil entities, and they said that Astaroth or whatever, like some demon lord or some archon, was going to come after me for killing a shadow being. Like, I'm telling you, like, there's some actual dumbasses out there, man. There's some actual kooks. Like, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're dealing with. And they're most of the new agers. You can't just let these people like talk to you. You can't let these people give you advice because they just don't know what they're doing. They're also afraid of being alone. They need titles. They need groups. They need labels. They need something that gives them a sense of identity or a sense of belonging. Right? Like, I know humans are social creatures. It runs in all of us. However, if you can't go without that and you can't source that energy from yourself, I've got bad news for you. You're probably an NPC, or you're still ingrained in your NPC tendencies. Because at the end of the day, society is a hive mind. So if you're still trying to appeal to society, if you're still trying to appeal to the external world, then all you're doing is trying to ingrain yourself deeper and deeper into the hive mind. You don't need titles, you don't need labels, you don't need groups, you don't need any of that. You are you without all those things. At the end of the day, none of those things can keep you from being you. All that other shit is just baggage that you attach to yourself and drags you down. Ironically, you forget who you are when you attach all those different labels to yourself, because then it tries to make you act in certain ways that may not be 100% true to who you really are. You're downloading these scripts and you're thinking that they're your actual personality when they're not. That's just your programming. As well, going further into titles and labels, there's a lot of like weird new agers that like to call themselves things like Hermes or Thoth or Apollo. I don't know why they do that. Like, why would you want to bite off of the likeness of an entity that no longer exists here? Are you trying to say that like you would be like their reincarnation? Because we know you're not. You can't be their reincarnation. It's not possible. Because if you were, you would have way more power and you probably wouldn't be trying to appeal to nerds on the internet trying to say that you're Apollo. Like, the insanity just goes, like, the insanity has no bounds. When I see somebody call themselves a mythological entity and they say that they're the reincarnation of that, like, I instantly know to look the other way because they're bullshitting me. And they're bullshitting themselves as well. There's something wrong with those people. Going further, a lot of new agers, they don't really research anything. They get all their confirmations from YouTube. And my issue with that is that a lot of the content for new agers is through channelers. Like, they're everywhere. You can't get away from them. You're eventually going to find, like, if you're looking up spiritual content on YouTube, you're going to come across those channelers. They will find a way into your feed. They're all bullshitters. Because you don't know what they're channeling. You can't verify it for yourself. And many times, not even the channeler can verify it for themselves. A lot of these channelers, because like, here's the thing that the government does. The government loves to push out narratives through people in the new age communities by using what they call channelers. A lot of these channelers out there is just basically the CIA behind a story, or behind a face, behind a computer screen. Not all these new age communities are started by actual genuine people. A lot of them are started by the government. So, another thing I don't like is that a lot of new agers are in an immense need for constant content streams, like through YouTube or whatever they watch. Like, they need that content. Like, they think that it's adding something to their lives when it's really just an entertainment to them. They might not even be like applying it practically. It might not even change their life at all. Like the difference on whether or not they watch all those videos is usually like nothing. Like there is no difference because they don't apply the knowledge actually. It's just a hobby to them. Learning about alternative history and world history and stuff like that, it's a hobby. It's a hobby for the materialist because those things aren't going to necessarily help you get out. Now, there might be some wiggle room. Maybe like 2% of the information you learn might help set up your foundations to help you better grasp this reality so you can understand how to get out of it. Maybe. However, most of the stuff that you learn about on YouTube isn't even practical. It's just a hobby. Plus, most of the time, these people can't even make up their minds. They consume so much YouTube content on the regular that they're always asking questions, and even then, when they get the answers, they still don't know what to believe because they never applied the knowledge in the first place in order to understand what's true and what's false. They never backtrack the information to see where the sources are from either. Like, when I come across those people, I try to give them good advice, and they just never listen. They're always dealing with the same problems and the same questions the next day. Nothing ever resonates with them because it's that constant content stream. Can't make up their mind. So they find themselves always having to watch something to tell them what to think. So yeah, that's basically it. I had to record this video twice because it got blocked based off of just like one single song. So I'm hoping that this is like royalty free, or at the very least, like it is an orchestral remake of a game soundtrack, right? So it shouldn't be an issue this time around. I should be able to upload this video. Should be able to. No promises.